Welcome very, very much to Conversation. A great personal honor and privilege to welcome to the program Mary Ann Beyster. And she is a person of great interest to me and to the world. And she is, among other things, we're going to get her background among engineering and other things that she's trained in. But she's also now the executive producer of a new film that we're going to be talking about. I might even try and show it here at the outside. She was the executive producer of this film. It's called We the Owners, and it's celebrating, among others, Louis Kelso and the idea of expanding ownership as a way in which companies can be run and the significance of that. It's getting a lot of play now and a lot of interest, and we're going to be talking about this and other matters and showing a couple clips from it. But anyway, Mary Ann, welcome so very, very much to Conversations and to Manhattan Neighborhood Network here in New York.
One of the things that I've noticed, got a lot of feedback from the teaching that I actually do, as well as some of the faculty, is short of living in one of these companies, it's hard to understand what it feels like. Okay, so you can have the intellectual ideas that's coming from the research, but what does it seem, what does it look like
what's the reality on the ground?
Right.
Yeah.
So I started a dialogue with Passage Productions, who I'd worked with on other projects, and I said, what do you think about a story, creating a story? And we embarked on a documentary project. And there were bumps in the road, but ultimately, 3 years later, we produced this film. So it was a fantastic partnership of getting three companies that all share ownership to describe why they did it, and how it's working, and how they're facing some of the challenges that they have. Passage Productions worked with me prior to this film on videos. So they were becoming familiar with employee ownership because they were interviewing the fellows that were coming to our symposium.
Oh, you'd put together a film about that?
That's right. We have about 30 separate 2-minute videos, and they're on our website, fed.org.
Oh, good. Okay.
That are these academics talking about different aspects of their research. And so they started getting familiar with the topic area. And I had felt that creating a video is what I called it initially. Was going to be another good educational tools. In talking with them, we started changing my language to say it's a documentary film, which is it's not about a bunch of experts talking, which is what we had in the video. It's about storytelling through people's experiences. There's a number of things that resonated with this film, and I'll just touch on a few. One of the things that I wanted to show through this film is there is a variety of ways of sharing ownership. Because we don't have, that's right, we don't have just one form. There's a trust structure in one company, there's a stock form in another company, there's a cooperative governance in another company. And in the beginning, we highlight the motivation of the founders to pick even considering employee ownership, and then how it evolved. But then 3/4 of the film is about the culture of ownership. It's how to be treated and act like an owner. So there's a responsibility as the employee to accept responsibility and to be accountable. You have to know how you're going to make an impact. And there's a number of other things that we wanted to outline.
You have to get over the idea that I'm nothing here but a wage slave collecting a wage. I've got involvement here.
You've got involvement.
That's something you have to educate people to really begin to embrace. Maybe on a larger scale. Go ahead. Sorry.
So I think the breadth of the types of forms of ownership that we covered are of interest. We also tried to cover companies that have a range of workers. So from low wage to higher wage. We also covered a company that, which is DPR, that has unions.
That's interesting.
This is.
Absolutely.
Right? Because I wanted to be able to show that I mean, obviously there are successes, but we need to celebrate those more. When you have successes of companies working very collaborative with unions and having an ownership culture.
You can also learn by learning the things that didn't work. You can learn that way too. Edison did a great deal as an editor.
Well, people have asked me, why didn't you put any of the stories of when this didn't work? Now, in each of these companies' stories, and the employees are telling more of the stories than the founders in this film, there are challenges. So it's never easy. There are challenges, and no company does it right all the time. But there are some more obvious examples of where it didn't work. And I don't want to make a film about that.
You
because
do not.
we can find that on the internet, and you can find that in the news. But we don't have enough that describes, well, how do you do this?
Thank you. Let's tell it.
So I'm not saying that this is for everybody in every company.
No, that's right. That's one of the things
we need
you
to
have.
describe how it can be done.
But that is something, it's a new possible reality that ought to be investigated and maybe supported and maybe thought about.
We started with thousands of companies.
That's what I was getting at.
We started with thousands of companies. The ESOP Association was very helpful in sending us their top list, and then the National Center of Employee Ownership out in Oakland, and then
they're in Oakland.
They're in Oakland, and then a number of consultants that have been in the industry for decades, at the Beyster Institute, at in Boston, and some people that are in the film. So I canvassed, and I said, these are the kind of criteria. I want companies that are performing. I don't want any question that they're performing in their industry.
Yeah, I had them in these three, sir.
Each of these companies have been recognized by third parties for their innovation and their performance and being great places to work. So they've all had third-party analyses done.
Those statistics are kept well and
they're
available?
And those are they're all three privately companies. I wanted 3 private companies.
Okay, fair enough,
So that data was available because they had been recognized through a process that already exists. Best places to work, for example, is a survey process that already exists. So we wanted top performers. I wanted different sizes of companies. I wanted different industries. So I've got, and I wanted different workforces. As I mentioned, I thought 3/4 of this film is the culture of ownership.
Okay.
So they all had to have a strong culture. Now again, they're all working at it.
Right.
No one's perfect. No company's
I
perfect
mean, you
all the
the
time.
1,000 that you were drawing from, or do you?
No, it starts whittling away to say, where's the senior management?
Starts or something.
Yeah, where's the senior management ultimately committed in the culture of ownership? And I wanted those kind of companies.
Right.
They've all been on the progress because you don't just start from day one. It's always a work in progress.
Right.
So we wanted to have that ownership culture be strong. You could have employee ownership through a stock program and not have the culture.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay?
You're absolutely right. Yeah, it'd be just a facade.
You're better performing if you have both.